always with the negative waves. If you know that line, then you already understand why Kelly's Heroes is not just another World War II movie. Released in 1970, this Clint Eastwood classic looks like a war film on the surface, but underneath it is a heist movie, a comedy, a satire, and one of the strangest anti war adventures Hollywood ever made. A group of American soldiers hears about hidden Nazi gold behind enemy lines, and instead of waiting for orders, they decide to steal it for themselves. Today on Cinema Unmasked, we are revealing 7 weird facts about Kelly's Heroes that make this film even more fascinating when you rewatch it. And trust me, fact number 7 connects this movie to politics in a way most fans never saw coming. Fact number 1, it was filmed in a country still carrying the scars of war. Kelly's Heroes was not filmed on a clean Hollywood backlot. The production went to Yugoslavia, especially areas that are now part of Croatia and Serbia. That choice gave the movie something very difficult to fake: real European landscapes, real military equipment, and a rough atmosphere that looked naturally war torn. Yugoslavia also gave the filmmakers access to soldiers, tanks, vehicles, and large open locations. That is why many scenes in the movie feel so physical and authentic. The dust, the old villages, the roads, the military movement, it all feels bigger than a normal studio production, and in some ways, that is the secret power of Kelly's Heroes. The movie is funny, cynical, and sometimes absurd, but the world around the characters feels real. That contrast makes the comedy even sharper. Fact number 2, the famous tiger tanks were fake. One of the most memorable images in Kelly's Heroes is the German tiger tank guarding the gold. It looks heavy, it looks dangerous. It looks like the kind of machine you do not want to negotiate with. But those were not real tiger tanks. The production used Soviet-built T-34 tanks and modified them to look like German Tiger I tanks. The Yugoslav military helped with these conversions, changing the shape and appearance enough for the tanks to work on camera. If you are a military history expert, you can spot the differences. The proportions are not perfect, the wheels and suspension are not exactly right, but for most viewers, especially during action scenes, the illusion works. And honestly, that is part of the charm. Kelly's Heroes is a movie about soldiers chasing fake military glory for real gold. So fake tigers somehow feel perfectly on brand. Fact number 3, Donald Sutherland turned Oddball into a counterculture icon. Oddball is not just a tank commander, he is a mood. Donald Sutherland plays him like a soldier who accidentally wandered out of a 1960s peace movement and into World War II. He talks about positive waves, he complains about negative energy, he rides into battle with a calm, almost philosophical attitude, and that is what makes him unforgettable. Oddball does not behave like a typical war movie character. He is relaxed, strange, funny, and completely out of place in the military machine around him. That was not an accident. The movie came out in 1970, right when American audiences were deeply questioning authority, war, and government power. Oddball feels like that entire cultural moment placed inside a tank. He is not just comic relief, he is the movie's rebellious spirit. And every time he says something about negative waves, the film stops being just a World War II adventure and becomes a 1970s anti-establishment statement. Fact number 4, the cast was full of stars right before they became icons. Watching Kelly's Heroes today feels like seeing a group photo of actors right before their biggest chapters began. Clint Eastwood was already famous, but he was still shaping the cool, quiet, morally ambiguous screen persona that would define so much of his career. Telly Savalas plays Big Joe with the same tough authority that would later make him famous as Kojak. Carol O'Connor appears as General Colt just before becoming Archie Bunker in All in the Family. Gavin MacLeod shows up years before audiences knew him as Captain Stubing in The Love Boat. And then there is Don Rickles, one of the greatest insult comedians of all time, playing crap game with fast-talking street energy. That is what makes the movie so fun to revisit. Almost everyone on screen feels like they are on the edge of becoming a familiar face in American pop culture. At the time, audiences saw a strong ensemble cast. Looking back now, it feels like a hidden time capsule. Fact number 5. It is secretly a heist movie disguised as a war movie. At first glance, Kelly's Heroes looks like a World War II action film. There are tanks, there are soldiers, there are explosions, there are German lines to cross. But structurally, this is a heist movie. Think about it. A group of misfits discovers a hidden fortune. They build a crew, they create a plan, they go behind enemy lines, they deal with unexpected obstacles. And the entire mission is not about winning the war, it is about stealing gold. That is what made the movie so unusual in 1970. Instead of giving us noble speeches about patriotism, Kelly's Heroes gives us tired soldiers who want something for themselves. They are not chasing medals. They are not chasing glory. They are chasing millions of dollars in Nazi gold. That is why the film still feels fresh. It takes the familiar language of a war movie and quietly turns it into a cynical, funny, high-stakes robbery. It is basically Ocean's 11 with tanks. Fact number 6. The music sounds wrong on purpose. If the soundtrack of Kelly's Heroes feels too modern for a World War II film, that is exactly the point. The song Burning Bridges, performed by the Mike Curb congregation, does not sound like something from 1944. It sounds like the late 1960s and early 1970s, and that gives the film a strange emotional flavor. Instead of using only traditional military music, the movie leans into a more contemporary sound. The result is a war film that feels like it is speaking directly to the audience of 1970. That matters because the film was released during the Vietnam War era, when many Americans were questioning military authority and the meaning of war. So even though Kelly's Heroes is set during World War II, its attitude belongs to 1970. The music is not just background, it is a signal. This movie is not really about the past, it is about the people watching it when it came out. Fact number 7. The man behind the movie's famous song later became a politician. Here is the strange twist. The Mike Curb congregation performed Burning Bridges, the theme song that became closely associated with Kelly's Heroes. Mike Curb was not just a music figure. Years later, he entered politics and became the Lieutenant Governor of California, serving from 1979 to 1983. That means one of the men connected to the musical identity of this anti-authority, gold-chasing war comedy, eventually became part of political power himself. It is a weirdly perfect Hollywood ending. A movie about soldiers chasing gold gave us a song by a man who later chased political power and actually won. In a film already filled with irony, that might be the strangest one of all. That is why Kelly's Heroes still works after all these years. It is not just a war movie, it is a comedy about greed, a heist movie in uniform, a satire about authority, and a time capsule of 1970s Hollywood hiding inside World War II. Clint Eastwood gives the film its cool center, Donald Sutherland gives it its strange soul, and the rest of the cast turns a ridiculous mission into one of the most entertaining war adventures ever made. So now tell us, what is your favorite moment from Kelly's Heroes? The Tiger Tank standoff, Oddball and his positive waves, or the final deal over the gold? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you want more hidden movie facts, behind-the-scenes stories, and classic cinema breakdowns, subscribe to Cinema Unmasked, because every movie has a mask, and we are here to take it off.